Yeah. Once my wife and I went away to visit my parents, and we got behind a trip over Thanksgiving. And truck of semi church. I mean, and they're in these tiny little, just crushed in these tiny little cages, shitting all over themselves and stuff on their way.
So, were you there with MC? Was it MCM? What was the water issue?
The pool.
I think it was 14.
You watch it to the end. I used to watch my daughter get checked.
That was an experience.
Yeah, that was great.
And I see it's getting a lot of attention these days, the water.
That video years ago, Water at Work one day.
Yeah.
The song.
Sadly, not more so on the federal level.
I always feel bad interrupting this conversation.
So I was singing like him.
To be interrupted. All right. Deb and Mark, you can hear us? Okay? Okay. All right. We'll get started. Thanks everybody for joining. I know Christine is away, our fearless leader off in Nepal. Maybe Mark can give us an update later, but we'll get started today. And I know we're continuing to read Ayakema's book, Nobody Going Nowhere. I think I got it right. And if I had the reading right, did we all arrive to anger? So we'll get started with our meditation. Take a comfortable position and allow your body to settle. You might close your eyes or soften your gaze. And notice where your body is supported. The surface beneath you, the floor under your feet. Take a slow breath in. Let it go. Again, breathing in and breathing out at your own pace. Today we're exploring anger, not necessarily because anger is something we need to get rid of, not because anger makes us bad. Anger is simply an emotion. It arises in response to conditions, and what matters for our practice is what happens after the anger comes. Can we notice it? Feel it? Can we allow it to move through us? Or do we become swept away by it? Do we hold on to it and let it settle in ourselves? We use water as an image for our emotional life, and we'll begin high above the watershed, where we can see the whole landscape. Imagine yourself standing at the top of an old mountain. It could even be your favorite West Virginia mountain. Climbed for some time. Now you've reached a place where you can see the great distance. Look out across the landscape. There are ridges and valleys, forests, open fields, rocky slopes. And running through all of it is a watershed. You can see streams beginning high on the mountain. You can see them joining together, and you can see places where the water moves quickly and places where it slows. And here you can see the whole system. And as you breathe, imagine that this is what awareness can offer us. A little distance. Not distance necessarily from our experience, but enough space to see it clearly. You don't have to be inside every emotion that arises. You can just notice what's happening. Bring your attention to your body and feel your feet, your legs, hands, your shoulders, your face. Notice whether you want to be still or move just slightly. Notice your breath. There's nothing you need to change or control, just notice. Now let your attention move toward a small stream beginning high up on the mountain. The water is cold and clear. It moves gently over stones, sometimes a little faster, sometimes a little slower. And then it reaches a bend. And here the water noticeably slows. The surface becomes calm, almost still. Because the surface is still, it becomes reflective. You can see the sky and surrounding trees mirrored on its surface, and at the same time you can also see into the water. This is the first way that we can anchor. Something happens. A person says something or something feels unfair. The boundary is crossed. We're disappointed, afraid, maybe hurt. And anger arises. And we notice anger is here. Perhaps you can notice where you feel it in your body. Maybe there's heat or tightness, a clenched jaw, tension in the shoulders, a knot in the stomach, energy in the hands, or a change in the rate of your breath. See if you can simply experience those sensations. You don't have to explain them or decide what they mean. You don't have to act. You can just notice. This is the reflective bend in the stream. The water hasn't stopped. It simply becomes still enough for us to see it, and then it continues flowing. And this is what we hope for when anger arises. We notice it, we feel it, we allow it, and we let it move on. This doesn't require us to approve of whatever caused the anger, and we can recognize that something was wrong. We can name when a boundary was crossed. We can acknowledge when we were hurt. And we can still allow the emotional energy to move through us. There's no need to hold on to it in order to prove that it matters. And there's no need to push it away in order to feel peaceful. let it be known and then let it flow. There's also a quality of kindness here. We don't have to be angry with ourselves for being angry. We can meet our own experience gently and say to ourselves, this is difficult. Anger is here, and I can be with this, and I can let it go. Loving kindness is present simply in the way we are willing to stay with our own experience and then gently release it without judgment. Now imagine that the stream moves further down the mountain and the land becomes steeper and the water gathers speed. The calm surface disappears and the stream turns into rapids. The water rushes over rocks and crashes against the banks and it surges forward with tremendous energy. This is another way anger can move. Something happens. Anger arises, and before we've had a chance to notice it, we're already moving. We react, say something sharp, hit send on the message, raise our voice, make a judgment, we replay the conversation, we prepare our argument, we want it heard back. The water's moving, but instead of observing it, we're being carried by it. Notice what this might feel like in your body. Perhaps your heart beats faster, the breath becomes shallow, your jaw tightens, your muscles prepare for action, your body's saying, do something. And yet this is where awareness can step in and interrupt the pattern. Not because we think we can stop the water, or by telling ourselves we shouldn't be angry, but by noticing, I'm in the rapid. Feel your feet. Feel the support beneath you. Take a breath. And then another. And perhaps soften the jaw or lower the shoulders. Allow your hands to wiggle and relax. We're gifting ourselves a moment before we give in to the movement. And this is where love and kindness can become intentional. We might offer ourselves a simple reminder. I'm angry and I don't have to act from anger. May I be patient with myself. May I respond in a way that doesn't create more suffering. And perhaps we can widen our view, not to deny what happened or to excuse another person's behavior, but simply to remember that we may not be seeing the whole landscape just this minute. We may be seeing one moment, one action, one part of a whole person in a much larger situation. This doesn't mean we have to like the person. Doesn't mean we have to trust them. Doesn't mean we shouldn't set a boundary. It simply means that anger doesn't have to reduce our entire view of another human being to the thing that made us angry. The rapids are powerful, but perhaps we don't have to be swept away. Imagine the water moving further downstream and the land flattens, the current slows, and in one part of the watershed, the water begins to collect. The movement becomes sluggish. Plants grow thickly, leaves settle, branches accumulate, mud gathers. Things begin to build up, and over time the water becomes stagnant, sometimes allowing unhealthy things to grow. This is the marsh. It's also resentment. Anger has risen, but instead of moving through, we keep returning to it. We replayed what happened. We think about what we should have said or imagine what we wish had happened. We collect evidence, we add another memory, another grievance, another judgment. The original anger may have been understandable, but over time, we've continued feeding it. And this is where ill will can arise. The mind may begin to wish that someone else would suffer. We might want them to feel what we felt, and we may want them to fail. We may find ourselves unable to wish them well. If you recognize this in yourself, simply notice. There's no need to judge yourself for having ill will. That would only add another layer of suffering. Instead, say to yourself, this is here. Notice what the marsh has in common with the rapids. In both cases, the water is no longer moving freely. In the rapids, the steady flow is dictated by rocks and sudden changes in the landscape. We're carried along by moments of anger. In the marsh, we've held on to it. One is too much movement, the other is too little. And both can create suffering for ourselves and for the people around us. Now bring some loving kindness to this place, not as a way of pretending the resentment isn't there, and not as a way of forcing yourself to forgive, but as a way of interrupting the pattern. Perhaps begin with yourself. May I be free from the suffering caused by holding on to this. May I be patient with myself. May I have some peace. And then if you're able, bring to mind the person connected to this resentment. And remember, you don't need to choose the most difficult person in your life right now. Just choose someone or something that gives you enough emotional material to practice with while still allowing you to remain grounded. And see if you can widen your view. This person isn't the only thing they did. They have a history you don't know. They have fears, desires, habits, strengths, weaknesses, moments of kindness, even if you can't imagine that, moments of confusion, moments when they may have caused harm, and moments when they have not helped. Very few people are all that. You don't have to convince yourself you're not hurt, and you don't have to say that what happened was okay. Simply notice whether there's anything good you can see in the larger picture, even if it's something very small. And if there isn't, that's okay too. Perhaps you can simply recognize this is another human being. A human being who, like you, is shaped by conditions, who has known suffering, who wants things, fears things, misunderstands things, and sometimes causes suffering. You can hold all of that alongside the truth that you were hurt, and both can be true. If it feels possible, offer a simple wish. May you be free from suffering. May you be safe. May you find peace. You don't have to feel loving just yet, and you don't have to mean it perfectly. This is practice. And if even that feels like too much, return to yourself. May I be free from suffering. May I be safe. May I find peace. Now return to the mountaintop and imagine again that you're standing high above the entire watershed. And from here you can see the clear stream, you can see the rapids, and you can see the marsh. And notice that they're all part of the same watershed. The same water, the same landscape. They're all movement, just different forms. Anger arises, and that is not a failure. We notice. That's the practice. We allow ourselves to feel what's here, and that's the practice. And when we can, we let it move. And that is the practice. Sometimes we do it naturally, The water's clear, we pause, we see, and it continues downstream. Sometimes we get swept into the rapids. When we notice, we can interrupt the pattern, and we can pause, breathe, feel the body, bring kindness to ourselves, and choose what happens. And sometimes we discover that we've been living in the marsh. We've been holding something for a long time. When we notice, we can interrupt that pattern too. We can stop adding to it. We can widen our view. We can bring kindness to ourselves and we're ready to others. And perhaps the water can begin to move again. Loving kindness doesn't mean that we never experience anger. It means we don't have to meet anger with more hostility. It means we meet ourselves with kindness. And we can meet another person with kindness. We can allow kindness to create enough space for us to see clearly. Because what happens inside us doesn't stay entirely inside us. The anger we carry affects how we speak, how we listen, how we look at other people, and how we respond to the next person we meet. And when we interrupt that pattern, something changes. Perhaps the next person receives a little more patience from us. Perhaps they carry that patience into their next interaction. Perhaps something that could have been passed along stops with us. We're part of the larger watershed. What moves through us can move outward into the lives of those around us. And so for the next few breaths, return simply to the body. Feel your feet, your hands, notice your breath, and perhaps remember the simplest form of the practice. Anger rises, notice, feel, I allow, and I let it move. And when I can't, I notice, I pause, I meet myself with kindness, and I begin again. There's nothing to resolve right now, no one to forgive, nothing to force. Just this moment, this breath, this body, and this awareness. Imagine the water continuing downstream. We don't try to still the stream. It doesn't need to be forced or made into anything other than what it is. It moves. Take one slow, comfortable breath in, and let it go. Feel the surface beneath you. Feel your feet, your hands, your body as you sit here. And when you're ready, gently open your eyes. Take a moment to notice what's here now and allow it to be here. Maybe as we move into our walking meditation, you can consider what landscape you want to be walking through. Pastor Randy did tell me today that there's some work being done in the church, so we're not going to be able to go into the sanctuary or the social hall. So we can use this room, the hallway, and then maybe invite ourselves to go outside into the landscape.
Yours. I mean, you can go there and make them bother.
Yeah, and I'll see you.
Randy, what did you say? What did you just say?
I said, if you want to go to sanctuary, you probably can. But they would probably be interrupting you. They're replacing some doors in the front of the sanctuary. It's not good.
But we have used the front yard before and it was lovely.
The front yard.
And there's sidewalk and grass depending on what kind of.
Are the doors to the front yard open?